Welcome back to Heads Up with Em. On today's episode, I'm truly honoured to be joined by two remarkable people, Professor Richard Scolyer and his wife, Katie. Richard is one of Australia's most respected pathologists, co-director of the Melanoma Institute Australia, and of course, co-Australian of the Year for 2024. Mid-August 2023, Richard was diagnosed with an aggressive form of brain cancer, glioblastoma, and instead of giving up, he and his longtime research partner, Professor Georgina Long, used his diagnosis as an opportunity to pioneer experimental treatments, pushing the boundaries of what's possible in medicine. Alongside him, every step of the way has been his wife Katie, whose strength, honesty, and love has been central to this journey. Together, they've faced unimaginable challenges and yet maintain a fierce commitment to life. We'll talk about what it's really been like for them. I hope you enjoy listening to their incredible story. Welcome back to another episode of Heads Up with Em, and I am so honoured and so grateful to be seated with Professor Richard Scolyer and his wife Katie, who have joined us for this episode to share your experience. And I have to say, I thought I'd introduce how I found out about you. Because I was still recovering from my brain surgery. I had moved in with my parents and I saw your story while I was still in recovery, and I was like, oh my gosh, here is someone leading the way and doing something about it. And someone so educated. You have all of your research and you've pioneered melanoma research, and someone's doing something about it. So since almost day one for me, you've been this real beacon of hope. So I'm just so honored to have you here today.
It's a pleasure to be here with my wife, Katie. He's actually a doctor too, and someone we've worked together for a little while, but we've been together for a long time. And
so you won Australian of the Year in 2024, and now you're on your journey in I guess your research in brain cancer, and of course after your own diagnosis, you're dealing with your own experience.
In truth, yeah, that's right. But it's sort of in some things that I read, it sounds like life hasn't changed for you. You're still doing all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
But in truth, my diagnosis was anatomical pathologist, surgical pathologist, whatever you want to name that. We'll get sent tissues very frequently to come up with a diagnosis and determine what are the features within the tumour that give it a risk of spreading around the body. Mm-hmm. And it's from those risks that treatment is decided upon for patients. So this has been our careers. And for me, from an early stage of when I started working in Sydney at RPA Hospital, in the late 90s, I got more and more interested in melanoma research and as well as treatment and diagnosis. My mentor was a pathologist called Stan McCarthy, and he is worldwide famous. So it brought a lot of opportunities to learn things and do things and apply them in a way for research that couldn't be done in the opportunities that I had. So I feel blessed that I had such a team of people to work with and what we could do.
Absolutely. I think you kind of pushed past a lot of red tape because of your own experience. You could just be like, okay, well, I know my treatment path. And what was that like for you when you kind of had this red light moment? I know in your book you said it was a no-brainer. You said, I knew I was going to do this. So what was that like for you, that moment where you're like, well, this route could take me this way, but I'm actually going to go in this direction?
I wouldn't quite think of it like that, but it is part of our working life. We've got a great team of people who work on melanoma, who work all over Sydney at different places, but that team is so dedicated to making a difference and coordinated in a way that gives opportunities. And it just feels right to go down that path when things don't add up. You want to make a difference. You have to have a crack or whatever to use for it. But to make change, you have to be committed and I don't know, gutsy is not the right term for it, but it's pushing boundaries to try and learn things that will help many patients.
And I think you also said in your book, I liked how you referenced the people in melanoma research who had done so much work before you that led to your discoveries and your research. And I think that's what you're doing in brain cancer, really, is you're taking those risks, and hopefully that will build upon a huge chain reaction. And that's how it starts. And brain cancer has been stagnant for such a long time that it needs people to take risks, I think. Yeah.
Well, I hope you're right with
Yeah.
what you're saying, and it takes some risk. But for me, when the prognosis is so poor, it didn't
Yeah.
much pushing to
Wow.
really think that way, and that's how you try and change things and improve things.
I was wondering what was it like for you, Katie, when he tells you, treatment is usually standard treatment in this direction, and the prognosis isn't great, but this is what they usually do. But I have a different idea. I'm going to try this instead. What was that like?
Yeah, look, it was, again, he had a team of people working on that plan or what the process would be. And there was a lot of discussion about risks and benefits of taking one path versus another. And
Yes.
I think because the prognosis wasn't great, given the type of tumour he had, if he went down the standard path, I guess I held a bit of hope too that taking a different path may just improve things, may extend the prognosis, or even if it couldn't do that, if it could add information to the path for treating brain cancers for people all over Australia or all over the world, well, that was, I think, a real benefit to be had from taking the new path.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem necessarily that too much could be lost by not taking the standard path, because it wasn't.
I think it has
great.
more help.
And I think I had confidence in the group of people, led by Georgina Long, but along with Richard's neurosurgeon, Brenda Shivalingam, and that fantastic team at North Shore.
Yes.
Everyone was putting their best brains together, and I have confidence in that process. I could see how much thought was going into it, how much they were bringing in their experience. And so I just had to leave it up to the people that knew so much about it. And I really felt they were so considered, so careful to make this risk worthwhile, if you like, to try a new path. And I think the other thing with Richard, that maybe not everyone who's maybe diagnosed with a brain tumour gets, is he was still functioning cognitively.
Yes.
So that it was his expertise, his experience also being added to that process. And I could see he was making the decision based on science and the latest research.
As Katie said about Georgina's suggestion about going down this path, it just made sense to me to do it. But what I was thinking is Katie's suggested that she listened and was happy to go along with it. Well, I think that's totally underplaying her role in where we're up to, including when it first happened in Poland. To get us home was quite a tough journey at the start, and she played a leading role in making it happen. So,
I mean, I guess I asked questions, and I felt, there was a lot I didn't know, not only about the treatment, but, I was a relative like anyone else seeing their loved one faced with this.
But your knowledge is incredible. Both Kate and I have independently were the neuropathology registrars, so we understood these diseases, where they're heading, what they look like, and they're extending a lot further than you can see the on radiology, and the surgeons, when they get inside, I can't see the edges because it creeps off. And you knew all this.
I guess we had a concept of what the term GBM meant and the implications of that. But the latest research or the expertise, that's certainly not my area. So a bit of knowledge. But
what was that moment like, given you are both doctors and you might not specialize in the field of brain cancer, but the term GBM. What was it like in that moment, finding out it is GBM? A lot of people don't know what that means in a, initial diagnosis. Was it different for you?
We have different opinions on it.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to go first?
Look, it the experience in Poland. So Richard didn't get the diagnosis in Poland. Just the fact there was a lesion there. But I think the term lesion after he'd had the seizure, I just felt everything closed in because by extension, GBM would be the expected thing. And so I guess by the time Richard got the GBM actual diagnosis, it was not unexpected.
Okay.
It had sort of been leading into that for a couple of weeks as the most likely thing. So it was really, but then, looking at the genetic molecular profile of the tumour, things like that, it was, but at the moment that I was told there was a lesion on the MRI, then, I have to say, I it was almost like the world stopped turning, or you just sort of fall into this pit, and you just have to take one step at a time. And I guess we were probably each dealing with that diagnosis inside our heads separately, although we were both in Poland. Richard was alone in the hospital for overnight on his own, and he was processing that news of the lesion in a slightly different way to I was, I guess. But we probably both understood the implications of that.
All diagnoses, they start at different places. The final diagnosis is called the pathological diagnosis. It's not 100%. It might be 90% based on what the scans show and how old I am and other issues. So, it's highly likely to be a high-grade glioma, and but we just need to do more to prove that's correct before embarking on treatments that are not without risk.
And like when I saw the term lesion on my report, I didn't think much of it because I have no understanding of it. His son doesn't sound like tumor, it doesn't sound like cancer. So I'm like, okay. And we almost probably had the reverse, because then when I got my final diagnosis, it was like, what is this? Yeah, absolutely.
I think you're right.
Yeah, lesion just sounds like nothing to me. But
That's weird. Nice. It's this. And so we've got to find out what subtype it is, because it's a different, prognosis is different. But for me, it's well and truly highly likely to be a glioblastoma, which is a sort of nasty type of brain cancer.
I just wanted to add something about, I mentioned that Richard didn't get a diagnosis in Poland, and he was on the neurology ward at the Krakow University
Didn't get a diagnosis. I didn't have any surgery there.
Yeah, you didn't get a pathological diagnosis. So he had imaging and he had lumbar puncture.
That's from out for that.
Yeah, so I just wanted to give some credit to the professor who was head of that unit, because she said, we could work you up here, but once you start having biopsies and surgeries and things, you may not get home. So I understand that we can't give you the definite diagnosis here. I mean, the sort of writing was on the wall, I guess, but it showed really excellent judgment, I think, in the way she handled that. Like, she didn't rush in and try and get all the answers. And I think sometimes that's a bit of the art of medicine, is knowing when to push all the way down a path and maybe when to hold back. And so it was thanks to her, Richard made it back to Australia to be treated by the health system that he'd worked in, to see his family, his kids, before he went ahead and had the first biopsy and then the subsequent surgery. So, it was really excellent, the care he received there.
And just to put it in context, so for a normal GBM, the prognosis, so we say median prognosis, so 50% of patients dead before, 50% die afterwards. And for this type, it ranges between 6 and maybe 14 months, 12 months, something like that. And I was told that because I'm not having some of the normal treatment, my prognosis median would be 6 months. So I could live longer or shorter, but no one knows. And some patients who've got poor prognostic tumours live a lot longer. So you can't prove anything as definitive, change in definitive treatment on one patient. You understand some things. That gives you more info that can be pushed harder to test it in a bigger group of patients. So my major role was to try some treatments that basically hadn't been tried in brain cancer before, that we'd pioneered in melanoma and now used in many other cancers, and outcomes are greatly improved in melanoma, similar to brain cancer 15 years ago, and with basically no one survived a long period of time, and now many people are cured. More than 50% who've got what we call stage 4 melanoma, so that's melanoma that's spread around your body, and no medications really worked, and not definitively. So that's what
amazing. Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of like one step at a time. It doesn't need to be, this huge, massive thing. It's just taking it one step at a time and observing your research, whether what works, what doesn't. That's just incredible in itself, that things are being tried. And I do know that, you were able to know that your immunotherapy had passed the blood-brain barrier from what had been removed from your tumor. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's for me, that's a joke that people saying that doesn't. Like, I've seen that a million times down the microscope. That
things can pass.
Oh they jump the hurdle. There's the blood-brain barrier, which is supposedly stopping them happen. It's not normal after you've got a tumor that's growing there and lets out things that allow parts of the blood to interact more with the tumor. So this that for me, that's not the biggest thing across.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of reasons why you wouldn't expect that the immunotherapies are boosting the body's own immune system to recognize and help attack the cancer so well and things. So to be able to get some data behind what's happening gives you a lot of hope. Is it worth pursuing in a much harder manner to try and push ahead and try and make a difference?
What has been your biggest kind of discovery, you feel, in it?
Well, so we know that in most cancers, but particularly in melanoma, the amount of inflammatory, so I'm only talking about immunotherapy. There's two basic forms of therapy that we divide up into targeted drug therapy against the individual drug, and then a group of treatments called immunotherapy, which is boosting your body's immune system to be able to recognize the tumor and get boosted to try and kill off the tumor cells. And there's a whole lot of reasons why problems why they don't get there in a significant number of people. But immunotherapy has been really attractive from a melanoma perspective because most of them are on the skin. In people like us who live in a beautiful country like Australia, our skin's exposed to the sun gets damage to it, and those damaged genes are a great target for immune cells, and they often get there, but the body's immune system and tumours are smart to block them off from getting into the tumour. But because there's so many that have been targeted towards the tumour, trying to boost that, so the immune cells can get in and kill off the tumour cells is very attractive. And in fact, it's worked very well in melanoma, but melanoma has a high underlying immune reaction as opposed to brain cancer, where it's basically the other end of the line. You don't see as many immune cells within the tumour. So when we went down this route, we had to be scepticistic about whether it would do anything or not, but seemed worth a crack.
I think also in terms of introducing a new approach, I was impressed in the way the team tried the new approach with Richard, which was not just using experience or being brave, but being safe and logical at the same time. And I think that approach could certainly, and it's probably already used in so many different ways with different cancers, but when you think ahead about what do we need to do for the scientific sort of experiment side to make sense, what do we need to do to keep the patient safe? What do we need to do to minimise adverse effects? And why does this approach make sense? Then it becomes so much more worthwhile to try a new approach or do something like that. So I do feel there's a lot of potential there for approaches to treating brain tumours that is probably already happening. But collaboration across specialties is probably the way leaps forward. I don't know. Would you?
Yeah, definitely. Collaboration
sort of
helps some. It happens, but it's better if it's skills from different groups of people are used together. And in medicine it generally happens, but it's not perfect. That collaboration across cancers can make a difference.
And maybe the value of that is increasingly recognised.
I think that's why a lot of people maybe were so inspired by you and Professor Georgina's work, because it was two people coming together and then as well two people backing a whole different cancer. I think that's what possibly brought around a lot of attraction to it. Lots of different teams and different heads of research coming together.
It's looking beyond the scope of our own focus.
Exactly.
Researchers around the world.
And just to add in context, how it came about, it was Georgina's suggestion. Katie and I talked to her, but it came from Georgina. Why don't we try going down this path? And we're a team of people. It's not just the two of us. We're co-medical directors at the Institute, but there's heaps. And it's not just us in Australia, or even there's people around the world who are doing it. But because the Melanoma Institute treats and sees so many patients, means there's been more opportunities for us to contribute in a big way to changing things in melanoma. But Georgina, my name's associated with it, but there's a bigger team of people who've been doing all the work and with collaborations in different parts of the world.
And is this you have your driving factor, which I'm sure you're a researcher, but then I also love seeing your exercise and your bike rides and your hikes. Can we talk a bit more about what has kept you motivated? Despite your diagnosis, you have kept so active, both physically, mentally, also engaging in so many interviews. What's been this driving force, do you think, that keeps you going?
So those things that you talk about, exercise and communication and various other things, have been a major part of my life for a long period of time. And now I've got the direct patient side of it, which is the biggest side of it. And to be honest, my confidence, my support and more proudness of what we've done.
Yeah.
I'm not at the the line ball front line of moving those things forward, and still hurts me now, or disappoints me that I can't contribute in that same way. And just us from other specialists, both internally and many other places around Australia and different parts of the world, I've sent cases to give opinion on to help patient management, and when you have a lot of experience, it's easy to do that, and just to have it taken away from you just like that is hurtful. Still, I miss not being able to do it, and I still drop in and visit my colleagues, but it's just not the same. So, and the time that you're seeing me on exercise things and is no different, really. It's less than what I normally do.
Oh.
I can't work so much. I do research, but not clinical care of patients, and it's given me some more time, but also to be able to have more time to spend directly with family and their children has been very special, enjoyable. I feel very lucky that it's been prolonged through luck, or it could be treatment, no one knows, but that's been special to still be in. You ask about doing publicity about things, and like I've seen over many, many years, that the benefit of telling the world about discoveries that you've made and can make a big difference. Investment needs to be made by government and others. So getting those messages out there has been really important. So I'm used to talking with the media about things, and I'm not perfect at it, but if you get out there and talk about it, you can hopefully make a difference. So to keep doing that now and using the platform that's already developed in melanoma, doing that sort of thing, now trying to move it on, so see if we can help brain cancer too. Just like I call it no-brainer, but it's it's just to trying to keep giving to try and make a difference.
And I'm not sure if it was just I was diagnosed, and so obviously I'm being filtered information about brain cancer. But I felt like 2025, I had seen a lot more discussion about it, a bigger push for it than I had in previous years. Maybe I wasn't diagnosed then, so I wasn't looking for it. But I suddenly feel like this year it has been a topic, especially now with the grant you've been given as well. I think some things are happening. Tides are changing. Maybe not as fast as everyone would like them to see, but things are moving. And what is what do you think is, especially in the space of brain cancer, we've seen the introduction of things like vorasidenib or vorasidenib. I'm still not sure how to pronounce it yet. But what kind of changes do you see that are exciting you most, possibly?
The hardest part was initially accepting the diagnosis and be shocked. Cancer incidence and cause of death, that sort of stuff is not part of my DNA, but I know that stuff pretty well.
Yeah.
And death from brain cancer is horrible to be happening, and for it to be the commonest cause of cancer death in less than 40-year-olds in our country, that is devastating, because that highly productive contributors to society, I guess that's not the primary driver. It's for young people, in a way, have been impacted. But that fact for me means we need to drive more work on research to change it. But I also know from the other side, as a doctor who specialises in cancers, that there's different risks with different cancers, and most cancers, the improvements that have happened over the last 15 years are astounding.
Yeah.
But to be then diagnosed with a cancer that's incurable and hasn't changed in all of that time, that doesn't sit right with me. We've got to do more, but it's challenging because it's in the brain, and it's inside your scalp. You can't just get in and have a look and try and do something.
Yeah.
All of the tissue in your brain has a high function for what you do and what you can do.
And who you are.
Yeah. And so that's really important. And if you've got a tumour on your skin, is it melanoma or not? It's easy to cut it out and get it examined down the microscope and work out what it is. But for brain tumours, to get a biopsy and accurate diagnosis much more difficult.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, with melanomas, particularly when they've what we call metastasized, but spread from where they started to another part of the body, they're typically extremely well circumscribed. So you can cut it out. But these one in the brain, it's just these tentacles that go off at the periphery, and you can't tell that from even the highest impact types of brain scans that we've got through radiology now.
Yeah.
You can see the main high-level bit where the tumour's really densely populated. But Kate and I know as neuropathologists, we've seen the periphery, and there's just single cells at the periphery that are creeping off. There's no way that the surgeon can't tell where it ends up. But the more you cut out, you're taking out more normal brain to get further on the tumour. You basically can't, for this sort of brain tumour, cut it all out. So we need to find a way of picking up and treating the tumour effectively without causing major damage, limit the amount of normal brain that is being affected. So
yeah, it's like this fine line. When my vision was impacted with my surgery, and my surgeon initially I was like, oh, you can take out my entire vision. I don't care. Like, just get rid of as much as you can. And he was just like, well, there's a fine line between that. It's your brain. It's who you are. I can't just scoop everything out, But yeah, I agree with your statement about how it is kind of ridiculous how it's the biggest disease that kills people under 40 years old. And when I found out, I was quite furious. Why me? Why now? What's going on? I'm 30. I'm healthy. What's going on? And then to find out about this fact and realize, hang on, how did I not know this? Why aren't people talking about it more? Why am I finding about this now? What can we do to change it? Really drove me to kind of do something more about it. And while I'm really grateful I got that good genetic mutation on my side, I know that that's not the same for everyone. So it's really important that we have these discussions and start pushing a little bit further because it's a young person's illness, and it catches you at a time when you're kind of in this moment of progressing in life. You're really enjoying what you've been working towards, Yeah, it's unfair.
Extremely well worded.
Yeah.
I totally agree with what you've said.
Thank you.
Yeah. Trying to support that in any way I can. But one thing that's changed for me is going from being a cancer doctor, specialist researcher, to now being on the other side of the coin as a patient with it. Like, I don't know, you do a lot of things over a long period of time. You think you can relate to many patients, and it's different now.
Yeah.
To have those, I totally sense this, and I see it in some of my friends and colleagues from many specialists who I've worked with at the RPA hospital and elsewhere, and I think about how it's devastated them and totally changed my life. So, what was said to me, how you introduced me, is something to be open and willing to discuss your cancer. I never viewed it like that. It's never felt like a chore, and I don't know the answer, but it just felt fine to have those conversations. But I thought because I'm medico, I understand these diseases, I understand the treatment and what it's likely to do to me and what the prognosis is, this kind of thing. But but now that the more info you get, your sort of opinion changes over time, and someone presented at the other side of the coin, all these friends that we've had it with had died of cancer who they're coming from medicine too.
Yeah.
So, I don't really know. Maybe it's the experience of having melanoma and being open and about discussing things. I don't know.
I think it's really powerful. Yeah. And Katie, what's it been like for you supporting Richard through this, as he is also just so driven and I'm going to do this and I'm going to take part in that? Do you ever think maybe we need to slow down, or what's your position?
Been saying that for decades.
I try that from time to time, but I don't get anywhere. So I'm just going to let him do. And look, he has fairly good judgment as well, I think. So and I do think he, I think he was saying before, his efforts were through his work, and now he's not able to work as much or work in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's just compelled to put his efforts, on a slightly different focus to also
Definitely
push things forward, help people or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think also it's a fairly unique opportunity he has to step in and do this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like, I'm not saying you do think this, but how it occurs to me is he may think, how can I not step in and help in this way when I've got the opportunity and the unique situation to do it? And
I think that's incredible. I think it could also, on the flip side, be so easy to also just retreat as well. And sometimes we have those moments. I have those moments as well.
I'm more inclined that way, I think.
But then on the other days, I just think it helps keep my mind focused, and it helps my family kind of recover from the situation and come together. And it's a distraction, a healthy distraction that's bringing about a positive change. Do you feel that you've got these kind of healthy distractions?
Yeah. I do think also, I think it actually helps the family a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Richard is so open, not just in his inner circle of family and friends, but broader.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it easier to talk about really difficult things at home with the kids or with friends. It takes away, some of the secrecy or that may sometimes be there for people going through a really rough, difficult journey. It's already out there. So easier for people to broach the subject or speak up about their own feelings with regards to concern for their friend or whatever. So I think it's helped all of us.
I agree.
Even those who are closer to Richard to process it and talk about it.
Definitely. And like talking about it is the best part. Yeah. Really, it helps the patient. I find it helps me, but it also helps like kind of difficult conversations with other people. I was very private in my life, and now I've started to share a little bit more about my experience, and I am receiving messages of people, being so grateful for sharing my experience, which I'm so thankful for. But it also helps me by putting it out there, and also helps people in my maybe circle of friends be like, this is how I'm feeling about it, and this is how I am, and this is how I approach it. So when you want to ask me a question, when you want to talk about it with me, it's not morbid. We don't always have to be sad about it. We don't always have to talk about it in shame. We can just talk about it. It is what it is. It's a fact, and that has helped conversations with my family, watching them, and talking about it in that kind of way. I don't know if you have the same experience. Yeah.
And we can make the odd joke about things, which makes the odd joke, about himself. So that helps to diffuse some of the really deep emotions.
I agree.
The hardest thing is when I want to put something out on social media, before I just put out whatever I felt like writing, and then more and more people were interested in hearing what I was doing, and my mental function's not so good. In fact, probably today around this is the lowest because of the treatment I've just finished, and
Yes.
start picking up again. And there's one thing I wanted to post that Kate Nicoll got get on some page. It's not here on my brain tune. It's actually an experience I had when I was a kid down in Tasmania, a bushwalking journey that I went to, and I got some great life experiences from being down there as a child.
Yeah. So we still have the petty little disagreements that any couple would have.
Yeah, exactly. And it brings a sense of normalcy to your relationship. My husband and I were in the same boat when I was first diagnosed. It's just kind of like, what role are you or what role are you? And then you become a bit robotic, and then you're like, actually, it's still just us.
Yeah.
And you need to kind of break that sometimes. And and if you're not laughing, you're crying. That's what I always say. So I always just keep that mindset.
So everyone's the same during their life. You don't have to have cancer. That life has ups and downs, and you got to flow with it. And
yeah, absolutely. I think I was hit by that hard because I was quite lucky. I'd never really had any kind of thing go wrong. But I did say to my friend, I was like, I think I've just been a bit too lucky. Things have been going my way. And this was 2 months before I was diagnosed. I was like, I know of all these people who have gone through such hard things in life, and I know it's coming for me. Yeah, it's funny like that. But it gives you a perspective shift like no other, and I think I personally needed it. Yeah.
I think also by being open, other people are then more open, and you realise some of the incredibly difficult things other people are going through, and they may not talk about it, or it may just be too difficult for them to share it, but you get an increased sense of connection just by sharing the story, and for people to know what you're going through. And then
and that's what I feel comfortable about sharing. But well, not necessarily Katie, but many people are very scientific about what they want to put out, and that's not what the journey's about for me, communicating the cancer journey. So it doesn't quite fit right often.
Exactly, true. You're from a medical background, so usually things are very scientific, but now it's on a personal level, so it's very different. It's a whole different experience for you. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you've been so busy in taking part in a lot of activities. You've traveled a lot as well. I've seen you've gone back to Tasmania, and you've been to Chicago earlier in your diagnosis. What's helped you kind of stay grounded and connect with your family and really enjoy family time?
Well, obviously, when you've got death's door looking at you somewhere down the road, you've shown a short period, so spending time with your family more than I have in the past has really, really come home to me strongly. But in truth, before all this happened, I travelled so many times a year, maybe 10 times a year, or that sort of thing, to go overseas to share data that we'd produced and interact with other people who are world leaders in the field to push the field forward. So, and I basically haven't done that since I got sick. I had 2 trips overseas, but that's nothing.
So this is slowing down for you.
Well, I only crap overseas since the first year, so 23. So, yeah, I might be at one little holiday, but anyway, life's turned upside down for me. But spending time with family is the biggest priority. That's let forward, or I don't feel embarrassed, ashamed of what I've done by dedicating so much of my time and effort to share our information and data with other people and pushing the field forward more. But now this happened, that's not where I want to spend my energy. And I still get contacted by many of my great friends who work overseas. Some of whom actually come and visit us. But but it's just things are different.
And I definitely felt that sense of family time becoming so important. Even if we were doing the exact same thing, I just appreciated it a little bit more, or a lot more. And I also didn't let things bother me as much, like little things in the outside world that might have affected me. I was like, well, I have so many bigger things to worry about. That helped me enjoy my time a little bit more, because I'm like, I'm just so focused. If I'm, dedicated to something, then I'm really going to do it. I'm not on my phone. I'm not distracted. And I don't let outside things distract me as much. And that helps me enjoy these moments. They certainly become more special. Yeah.
I think everyone has different personalities, and there's so many different aspects that make up it. This is not my area of expertise at all, but just this by meeting people and how different we are reacting to things, what we want to concentrate our time, and trying to find the right way forward. It's going to be different for different people in different scenarios. So yeah, it's hard to say what's right and wrong, and it's going to be different for people about what they need. And and certainly I'm not perfect, and Kate's had to put up a lot with me for a long time of this drive to do things like we're talking about before, but triathlons and things. I wanted to get a bit fitter because the youngest had just been born a couple of years before, and I thought, I've got to get fitter to stay alive for a long time. So started exercising more and more when the kids were off swimming, and then I just can't help myself but, be driven to do more competitive things. And I feel a bit guilty about doing that, but it definitely gives me a lot of satisfaction in doing triathlons and friends that I've made and time I've spent with them.
Is there anything you might recommend to other families going through a diagnosis, that time spent together? What have you guys done as a family that you've enjoyed or helped you enjoy these moments a little bit more that you might recommend to other families?
Hundreds of them, but Kate's master at organising these things.
I guess it's interesting because our kids, I think they were all teenagers when Richard got diagnosed, but moving from school to, after school life, the point at which they're becoming independent, spending more time, becoming the adult, or finding themselves in a way, I guess. But at the same time, trying to find just really nice ways to spend time together. And so we can't totally smother them and say every minute of your day has to be focused on your dad, go and live your life.
Yeah.
And so I guess we're a bit more mindful just to make the times the kids are home or we're all here is to just do something enjoyable, like not, I don't know, go off and do some work or, at your desk in the evening, but just to enjoy the time having dinner or
it can be something simple. That's what I agree.
And I say your first choice of show, but and the kids really like that too, to sit there and
do something normal, enjoy the normal parts of life,
joke, don't be. And they're sort of saying to us, don't be on your phone, just the sun together. They're very good, and they're making the moments count too, I guess.
Yes.
Better than I was when I was.
Oh, really? That's right. And I guess the other thing is I've found, or maybe it's just been understanding or giving a bit of leeway for people's emotions because they're going to come out.
Yes.
There's going to be some slam doors. There's going to be some where people may need some time alone or may just need to vent in some way. I guess the stress or worry they're carrying with them, the unknown, how do we as adults deal with that? Let alone,
exactly.
But I also reckon with it, and I'm not supposed to say this publicly, but they have different personalities or different ways of dealing with talking about problems that inevitably hit you in life and how much it knocks them around, what they want to do next. So, even it's different in this situation. Well, that's what I think.
maybe opens up the door to communication methods that you
we're very conscious.
predicted before. Yeah, helped communication.
Yeah, we're sort of thinking around the problem rather than and more focused on the relationship things as well, not just the time spent together. It's just an observational thing. Men can often find a way to be there for their friend or family without actually saying the words.
Yes.
Cancer or something like that.
They
feel that support.
I agree. I told my husband, like, do you need to go to a support group for men, and what does that look like? And for me, I have mother's group, and so I speak to them in there, and that's really good. And I was like, what could I do to help organize something for you as a man? And he was like, we just go down to the pub, or we just go for a surf. And I was like, okay, yeah, I guess that is what you do, and that's okay. And he was like, no, that's fine. And I was like, all right, I won't meddle with your masculine way of doing it. Come to me if you need me, but I'll leave you to it.
That's good.
Yeah, exactly. And they have their own way. And I'm a family of sisters. I don't have boys. So understanding my husband has been a bit of a science experiment. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess taking this support, it's really lovely. The people who've stepped in different ways, and maybe sometimes there's a tendency when you're faced with this big challenge is to maybe feel it's too big to put that on other people, or you have a lot of difficulty yourself dealing with it or processing with it. But I have found the support of friends who know what's going on, and they're not, it might be, come for a walk, or let's go out for dinner, or, drop off a meal. There are so many different ways.
Yeah.
We're little ways of showing support, make a big difference, even to how we're managing in the house. And I'm very grateful for that. And I guess with Richard being so open about everything, I don't have to, explain so much. But
yeah, that's true.
Let the love and support in would be
a good tip,
I'd say.
It's very sometimes hard when you feel so independent and you want to manage it yourself. And I had to do that, and you start to accept it. And then it opens up conversations, and you also learn why people are maybe being supportive, possibly because they have gone through something before as well. And I think it's taught me how to be a better support person because of being so overwhelmed by how well people have come and approached me. I think it's a beautiful thing how it kind of gets passed on.
Yeah, nice to encourage that sort of thing. And, every now and again something happens and you think, people are not going through the same journey with you. It's hard for them to appreciate in the same way the significance of some of the things. Anyway,
Absolutely.
Makes me sad, but definitely happens, but not very commonly.
And I guess also it's not always easy for people to know
how to approach. Yes.
Or how to step into that. And I feel for them. I mean, I've been in that position myself as years gone by, but any little thing is always appreciated, hello or whatever. And I think, a lot of people say hello to Richard around about the place, which is just really lovely, I think.
Yes. Do you get recognised a lot? Yeah. I can
see how friendly and kind people are who you don't know.
Yes. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. I actually did see you last Thursday. I flashed you a smile, but we were both heading into appointments at Royal North Shore Hospital. I was like, I know I'm going to get my moment next week. Yeah. How have you found your experience? We're both being treated by the same doctors at Royal North Shore Private and Public. How have you found your experience there with our team, you could say?
It's been going really well. They know their stuff. They're world experts. They're kind in giving their delivery.
Yeah, I go to Dr. Back with a huge list of questions, and I need to hear his answers. because it's his answers that get me through the next scan. If I might feel panicky during that time, I'm like, no, because I know it was a ridiculous question, but I needed to get that ridiculous thought out.
Yeah.
And, Dr. Back or Dr. Wheeler's thought in. I push myself, even though it's embarrassing to ask. I often say my meeting with my doctors is part medical, part mental health. You feel refreshed after chatting. And getting all of those horrible thoughts out. So
no, I totally agree with what you're saying.
So Richard asks a lot of questions, but
yes,
I think it's very healthy for anyone to ask whatever questions they want to ask, feel they need to ask. There's no stupid questions when you're taking on a treatment or management journey. Ask the questions, and that's how you take ownership, but it makes the journey yours. You're not just being directed by someone else. It gives you some autonomy, some say, and to give you some peace of mind and understanding of where you're going. But what I'm struck by with the team at North Shore, Helen and Michael and Jamie Drummond, Richard will, just discuss the scans, and Marina as well. They always see Richard as a patient and a human being, and he's not just someone who asks a lot of questions or who is actively involved in these discussions. I like their approach with that of keeping Richard the person as the focus of their management, and they're very considered about, which I think they do for all their patients, very considered about finding the best way forward for each individual. It's not just
exactly,
and they're willing to discuss it.
And you have the time of these professionals who are so experts, and I just think
that's right.
I'm so grateful to have their time, and so let me ask what I need to ask, and it's a real blessing.
Good.
Yeah.
I feel Richard's very well cared for.
Good.
And I don't feel like it's special compared to anyone else. Our consult length is similar to other patients.
Yeah, you're not getting anything different from what anyone else who turns up to the clinic or to the appointments is getting. They really see everyone as a special, unique.
I agree. To have Marina's phone number and email as well, and just ask her any questions, I find so helpful. And I know not a lot of patients have that, a nurse practitioner who they can ask. And between scans can be a really scary time as well, especially in the early stages when you might be recovering from surgery or radiation. What is the symptom? What's the sign?
Yeah, right. It makes all the difference. There's always, one question and answer will bring on another one, and the patience with which Marina deals with it, and her depth of experience, and also acknowledging it's not a predetermined path for anyone. Everyone's going to have their swings and turns and unexpected little tools or challenges. It's no trouble for the team to deal with all that. And
that's amazing. I'm so glad you're also having a positive experience. And there you go. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us?
Well, I guess to add in, I'm not in my best form at present with some of the challenges that have been going on. But Kate's summary of some of the things and way that this amazing team of neuro-oncologists or not just neuro-oncology, but in the brain cancer field, are just truly amazing in their knowledge, kindness, and care, and just delighted in having them as part of the team that's helping me and my Katie and other family members going through this journey.
in the same way that you've feel there's more talk around or an awareness around a brain cancer for me too. And I'm just really impressed with the way there are different groups around Australia, and at North Shore they've got their own research laboratory, like the hard work researchers are putting in, and I just hope they get the recognition, the financial support long-term to keep going with these things. And it's an important area. And I hope if there are some advancements in adult brain, that this is going to pay off in childhood brain tumours and may have impacts on other types of cancers too. And I really think that there's great people out there doing fantastic work, and really hopeful that
I agree. I can see a ripple effect happening. Hopefully part of your research will be part of that ripple. I think that's what's made a huge impact, especially for me, just coming from a patient.
It's something that we don't talk about very often, but I know that it can be an issue for some people with brain tumours, is just sometimes the emotional or mental challenges, not only with having cancer, but in particularly having a brain tumour. And it can affect things like mood or emotions, which may also be challenging sometimes for the families trying to support that. And it's not an uncommon challenge, as I understand, but it's maybe something that's not necessarily out there that the families and patients themselves may have trouble talking about. So in terms of other people going through it, you're not alone in whatever challenges you face, even if they're not particularly related, obviously, to the tumour itself. It's going to bring up a lot more challenges, and whatever they're doing a great job just by being there to support
that person. I agree. There are so many invisible intricacies that come with cancer, not just the cancer. Often it's, the surgery, the results of the surgery, the results of the medication they might be taking can impact you, and people might not see that and might not notice it. And it can be small or it can be very big. And you're not just overcoming one thing, which is the cancer, actually overcoming so many other things. I totally agree. I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Heads Up with Em. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. If you're a brain cancer survivor, a caregiver, or someone just looking for some inspiration, remember you're not alone and your story matters. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review if you enjoyed the episode. It helps others find this space too. If you want to connect, you can find me on Heads Up with Em Instagram and my Instagram account, Emily Francesca Kirk. I'm excited to share more with you next time.